Hallo und herzlich willkommen zu einem neuen Videoformat bei uns auf dem Tabeltop Kanal, zu einem Interviewformat. Zu dem aktuellen Zeitpunkt ist schon das Video mit dem Team Norway raus, was wir geführt haben. Das Video mit Team Israel ist das allererste, was wir geführt haben. Deswegen vergebt uns, dass wir da noch einige Fehler gemacht haben. Ja, kommentiert sehr, sehr gerne, ob ihr mehr sehen wollt, ob euch das nicht so interessiert. Das wäre uns sehr, sehr lieb, wenn ihr uns da ein bisschen Feedback geben könntet. Und ganz wichtig ist, wir haben einen Discord-Channel. Schaut gerne vorbei, der Link ist unter dem Video. Ihr seid alle herzlich willkommen.
We are from the Tabletop Beast channel, and today we make an interview with the Israeli WTC team, which will join the WTC in Belgium in August. And we thought about that we can start that you can tell us about with how many persons do you go to Belgium, and talk a little bit about your team.
Cool. So we are just going as 8 people. So me, or who is joined as well, 6 more people. We don't have. It is a bit of an expensive trip, so not a lot of. We won't have any coaches. We might have some people joining the War Masters, so it's actually a growing amount of interest in Israel to at least go to the War Masters, which is nice. But it's just going to be the 8 of us. I'm the captain of Team Israel, and we have Sergey, who is my co-captain, and we are the others as well. We are more or less. We have like a wide range. I think Or is our newest player, who is a year. More or less, or you can fix me.
Yeah, about a year, yes.
So about a year, but we have from there 2 people who have been around since 5th edition, or even before. So we are really excited to. Our community is rather small, so we're really excited to be going even for the second time, to make it for the second time to come to the WTC.
Okay, also sagt, das Team Israel ist halt zum 2. Mal bei der WTC dabei. Die reisen mit 8 Leuten an.
Genau, das allererste Mal waren wir dabei 2023. Und dieses Jahr ist das 2. Mal, dass sie dorthin fahren mit 8 Leuten. Er ist der Team-Captain und der Sergei ist der Co-Captain von dem Team. Und die stehen uns heute für das Interview zur Verfügung. Möchtest du weiter?
Genau. Und die Erfahrung ist gemischt. Ein Spieler, der am frischesten dabei ist, der spielt ein Jahr 40k ungefähr. Und die erfahrensten sind so seit der 5. Edition mit dabei. Und genau, die freuen sich total und gucken mal, was sie mitnehmen. So we can.
So you are the first team that we make an interview with you, and so can you tell us wie funktioniert das mit den WTC-Teams?
Yes. Can you tell us a little bit more about the WTC? How it works when you make the games, and how you make the pairings. That will be interesting, because maybe a lot of people listening to the channel are not so safe in the team playing and so on, and how a team tournament works.
So Henning hat jetzt gerade meine Frage ein bisschen weitergeführt. Also wir wollen jetzt euch einmal erklären lassen, weil wir wissen das auch nicht hundertprozentig, wie funktioniert das Teambuilding-System bei der WTC und wie wird dort gespielt und was sind genau die Regeln, und das wird uns jetzt der Captain vom Team Israel erklären, und der Henning wird es dann auch übersetzen.
Okay.
Cool. So the WTC is the biggest international teams tournament, from what I know at least, that happens in the world. Basically, you have teams from many countries. This year there are going to be 40 teams from 40 different countries coming to play in this basically version of the game called the Teams Tournament. And unlike a 1v1 or a singles tournament, each team, you can either have, in Teams tournaments, you either have 5 people or 8 people. That's usually the format. But in the WTC, it's the biggest tournament. We have teams of 8. Basically, you have a specific kind of mini game, we can call it, before you decide who is being matched up with who. The way it works is that you put on one player as a defender. Each team puts a defender forward. It can be an army that really wants to pick a specific table because they have the ability to pick maybe a lighter table or heavier table. And then the opponent's team picks 2 attackers to go against the defender. And then we will pick who we think is better for this defender to deal with. And basically it goes around like that. You put a defender, 2 attackers, pick an attacker. And this is how you basically until you're left with just 2 armies, one from you and one from your opponent, and then they just go against each other. So basically using this system, you slowly create 1 versus 1 matchups from the list of 8 teams you have. And basically the game plan is to find or try to get the best matchups you can for your team. It's not about who will win more. It doesn't necessarily need to be that more people win, but it needs to be that overall the team will have more points than their opponent. It's basically being decided by a system where the difference in points creates this number of points that overall you will get from this matchup. So it's from a 10-10, which is a draw, to 20-0 or 0-20, depending on the difference.
Is there draw range from 0 to 5 points, or is draw 0 difference?
It's 5 points. So
Okay.
you get a point over your opponent basically every
Yes.
time you are beating him by more than 5 points. So a 10-10 means it's the same, no difference of 5-point difference. For example, if you're getting a 65 to 59, that's a 6-point difference. So suddenly you have 11 points. The opponent has
11-9 is then. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And so on and so forth. So if you have a 50-point difference, it is 20-0.
Yes.
And so the team who has the biggest, the higher score difference than their opponent wins. So this also means that even if you lose, 7 of your games, 7 out of the 8, but you lose it by very little, but then your 8th game, you win big, you actually are going to win the match overall. Your team is going to win. So it's not about necessarily who loses more or who wins more. It's about who can win by more or lose by less, basically.
Yes.
So it's a very interesting system. We are trying to match different armies. So your team will have the best matchups. And it's based around this metrics where each player says how good he is against specific armies. And then you're trying to, using this matching plan with the defenders and the attackers, try to make the opponent give you the best possible matchups for each of your team members.
Okay, I translated shortly for the German visitors. Also bei der WTC ist ein Teamturnier halt und es gibt diese Teamturniere mit 5 und mit 8 Spielern in einem Team und das jetzt mit 8 Spielern. Und bevor quasi das Warhammer-Spiel losgeht, ist nochmal quasi ein Vorspiel, in dem quasi die Pairings gemacht werden. Und da wird natürlich probiert, dass man entsprechend gute Matchups sich zusammenpairt, wo man gute Chancen hat, zu gewinnen. Und im Endeffekt zählen nicht die Siege insgesamt, sondern es zählt die Gesamtpunktzahl, die in der 20er-Matrix erreicht wird. Also er hat nochmal ausführlich erklärt, dass wenn halt 7 Spiele mit 11-9 verloren gehen und der letzte 20-0 gewinnt, gewinnt trotzdem das Team, was die 7 Spiele verloren hat, weil einer 20-0 gewonnen hat. Man hat also auch einen etwas anderen Spielstil. Es ist viel wichtiger, Punkte zu holen. So I said that you have another play style, that you have to make points, that you don't have to lose with a lot of points. So every game is important to make points, I think so.
Yeah.
Also es ist wichtiger, Punkte zu machen, wie
Zu gewinnen.
Spiele zu gewinnen.
Yes.
Aber weißt du, man muss doch auch gucken, wenn ich das so richtig verstanden habe, wenn er es erklärt hat, dass man immer die richtigen Matchups findet. Weil
Genau.
weil es gibt ja immer Konterarmeen und das ist doch wichtig, dann dazu immer die richtigen Kontra zu finden.
Genau, das ist die Kunst auch. I just have a question for the pairing. Ich habe noch eine Frage zum Pairing. You say at first I have 2 defender armies and 2 attacker army, and you can choose one pair of the attacker and then the other one can choose one defender, or how is it going, the pairing?
So let's say you have a roster of let's say Death Guard, Eldari, Space Marines, etc., etc. You have 8 different armies, okay? Because each team member you cannot have multiple of the same armies. You must have different armies. And for example, I have an army like Death Guard that really enjoys having more heavy tables. They want to be hiding behind terrain. They don't want to be interacted with before they can go out. And because the defender gets to pick a table first, so I can put maybe the Death Guard player first as a defender. You put him face down. The opponent puts another defender face down, so one of theirs, and we put one of ours, and then we flip it. So for example, I put a Death Guard player as a defender, and they put now that Admech got suddenly better today, they put an Admech player, because also maybe Admech would like heavier tables. We'll see, probably open tables for them more. But and then we look at the rest of our players. So we have seven players left, right? So we look at the 7 players that we have, and they look at the 7 players they have, and we think, okay, who will be the best who can go into Admech? And they will think, who do we have that is the best that goes into Death Guard? So we put 2 of our best choices, and they put 2 of their best choices. And we always need to think forward, right? Like, oh, but if I put him, then maybe he will be better against another one of the team's army. So you always need to think forward and say, like, okay, maybe this is the best matchup against Admech, but is it an even better matchup against Necrons? And the opponent have Necrons, so maybe I need to keep him. So a lot of mind games, thinking who will be better. But for example, I put against Admech, I'll put, I'm just throwing, I don't know if they're actually good against them or not, but I don't know, I'll put like Space Marines, and I'll put my Eldari player on that. And they can put, I don't know, like Necrons and Custodes against the Death Guard, just as a random armies. We see who it is, and then we get to pick. So we can look, okay, Custodes and Necrons, maybe Death Guard would like Necrons more, or Custodes more. We pick, for example, Custodes, and they pick Eldar. And then we have our first 2 matchups. We have Death Guard versus Custodes, and Admech versus Eldar. And then we repeat this process. So one defender for me and for the opponent, then 2 of our attackers and 2 of their attackers, and so on and so forth, until you go through basically 3 of those repeats. And then on the 4th time, so you already decided on 6 of your matchups. Now you have a 4th time. And in this last time, you do the same thing, but whoever is not picked from the 2 attackers, right? So you have a defender and 2 attackers. Whoever is not picked would be against the attacker on the opponent's team who is not picked. So that's how you get your 8 matches, basically. So
Yes.
It's finding those pairings and yeah.
Okay, and so you always have to take care that you don't get a too bad matchup, that you get a 0-20 loss. And you always want to try to pick a good matchup, maybe Eldar versus Space Marines or tank lists so that you can maybe make a good match.
Yeah, exactly. But you always need to think forward about maybe whoever you're putting down is actually a better matchup for the future. So you don't want to, sometimes it's better for you to get 2 15-5s, for example. That's 25 points over your opponent, rather than getting 20-0 in one matchup, but 0-20, like losing very badly in another one. So you always need to think forward about how overall your team is going to get more points than the opponent.
Okay, I translate a little bit. Willst du oder soll ich?
Kannst du.
Okay.
Ich glaube, du bist dafür ein bisschen.
Okay, also er hat nochmal das Matchup ausführlich erklärt, wie das Pairing funktioniert beim Teamturnier und nochmal erklärt, dass jeder sich quasi verdeckt die Defender hinlegt und dann die umgedreht werden, dann Attacker, man sich 2 hinlegen kann und dann wird nach und nach werden die Pairings gemacht und dass man auch schon beim Pairen halt viel Kopfarbeit leisten muss, dass man halt guckt, dass man sich die Sachen richtig pairt und
dass man sich auch die richtigen Matchups zurechtlegt, weil es ist wichtiger, 22-0 zu bekommen, als ein 15 zu 10.
Ja.
So, weil es wird nach Punkten gerechnet, nicht nach Siegen. Das ist nochmal ganz wichtig, glaube ich, zu erwähnen. Und er hat auch erklärt, dass sie immer gucken, dass sie für die Zukunft immer das beste Matchup herausbekommen, wenn es gerade kein gutes Matchup ist.
Ja, okay. So maybe we talk about the pots of the WTC. I thought there are 4 groups with the teams, and I'm not sure in which pot is Team Israel at the moment. So maybe we can talk what you expect from the WTC and where do you want to be at the end?
So I think they will win the WTC, or
or do you want to maybe take this? Where do you think we should? Where do you see us after WTC?
Well, we are, as Dol said, we are a newer group joining WTC, and we are very excited to do our best. We did manage to get to the group number 3, right?
Yes. Group 3 or 4, I think.
3 out of 4.
Yeah.
Yes.
And for me, as the newest in the group, my main goal is not to embarrass my captain, but other than that, it's other than that, I think for our group, like keep jumping a rank each WTC is a very big goal, but could be achievable if we do our best.
Yeah, I agree. I think like we come mainly because our community is so small and we want to meet new people and just experience how it is like to play Warhammer at this huge scale, but we definitely are coming in to also want to try and improve ourselves skill wise. So I definitely, exactly as Or said, we do want to see ourselves kind of jumping up the ranks slowly but surely.
So it's also a good learning effect when you play against very, very good players, and you will make a lot of games, and you will learn and get experience and hard match experience, and so you can grow with the experiences, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. Like I'm coming for the War Master as well, so I'll be playing 13 games in a week. I'm super excited for this. I did it last year as well, and it was really helpful, and it really kind of put me up a level as a player. So last year I got in the War Masters, I got to 21st place out of like 280 or 300, which was really exciting for me. So
and this is 21st is 21 is how many victories is it?
I had 4 victories, a draw, and a loss.
Yes.
So in 6 games, I was really excited for this. I'm definitely at least aiming to there. And in the WTC, of course, we are. I think we are coming in with a lot more experience, and we understand also we have a lot more experience in the game now than before, as a team, and obviously playing throughout 10th and getting more experience in that. So I'm definitely looking forward to trying our best this time as well.
Okay, also er hat jetzt nochmal berichtet, quasi, dass sie mal gucken wollen. Sie sind im dritten Topf drin. Das heißt, es gibt 4 Töpfe, glaube ich, 10 Mannschaften, es sind 40. In Top 1 sind quasi die 10 Besten, in Top 2 dann die nächsten, in Top 3 die nächsten und in Top 4 sind die am schwächsten eingeschätzten Nationen. Und ich glaube, es gibt dann immer Gruppen und in jede Gruppe kommt einer aus Top 1, einer aus Top 2, einer aus Top 3, einer aus Top 4 und dann werden erstmal die Gruppenspiele gemacht und dann weitere Ausscheidungsspiele. Genau, und sie hoffen halt, dass sie Erfahrungen machen auf der WTC, bessere Spieler werden und auch schöne, gute, nette Spiele haben.
Was man wahrscheinlich auch sehr gut werden kann, wenn man gegen die Besten der Welt spielt.
Ja, genau.
Kann man dort, denke ich, sehr viel Erfahrung sammeln, coole Spiele machen, Spaß haben und ein besserer Spieler werden.
Und vielleicht sprechen wir nochmal zum Abschluss über die Community in Israel.
Yes.
Eine Runde. So, we've talked now a lot about WTC, and maybe for our visitors it's also interesting to hear a little bit about the community in Israel, and with Corona you also can play Warhammer on Tabletop Simulator or something like that for training, and you can play with your team when you're not all from the same city, because I know the German WTC team makes boot camps, so they meet each other for a weekend or longer and make a boot camp. Do you also make a boot camp in your community, or do you make it more online? And how is it all about? How are you playing Warhammer in Israel? More in the stores or private houses or clubs? In Germany, it's very different.
Yeah, I'm sure. So I wish we had stores and clubs. At the moment, we have one store and one club in Israel. So it's
in the whole country. In the whole
exactly.
Country. Okay.
So as I said, we are a very small community, but we do try to. Firstly, as a community, I'm leading this community, and I'm trying to ensure that we have as many events as possible and grow the community through demos, and Or is helping me with the demos as well. We have most of our games will be throughout the week. We'll be meeting there, or as you said, we sometimes play in TTS. And we have tournaments every month, or sometimes every 2 months, just to get this experience playing multiple matches a day and testing our armies in a more competitive environment. But yeah, I think most of our training comes from really trying to get as many games as possible in a week. I guess one of the problems is that we don't have this big community where a lot of different people are trying lists, and we can kind of talk with them and see how different matchups work. So a lot of our experimentation we have to do ourselves.
And you have to have the armies. You have to when you don't have such a big community, you always have to take a look who has Gene Stealer, or who has Necron list, or who has this or this or this list. So it's not always easy to train the matchups, maybe.
Or remind me how.
I can say that for myself, that just as the new Sisters Codex came out, we don't really have a lot of Sisters players here in Israel, so I basically just took over learning Sisters in a moment and played on TTS and tried to learn them. We do our best and try to find ways to stay in touch with every army and learn as much as possible.
Yes, and with the TTS you can build a sister list, and if you go to tournament you have a painted sister list. You have to bring a painted sister list. That's also a hard thing.
Yeah, so usually we do have almost at least one player for each army in Israel. I mean, we're not that small, right? We have around 300 people in the community overall. But when it comes to actually, meeting up and playing and coming to tournaments, so like our biggest we just got to a point where we have like 30 and a bit people in a tournament, where 2 years ago we maybe had like 12 on a good day. So we are definitely growing much faster than before. So we do have where to get the models from, but it's definitely harder. Yeah, it's definitely harder to try and find this like specific person. I know, or like you can talk as well about your experience trying to find Death Guard models.
Oh yeah.
We basically had to talk with like 4 different people. One of them gave us a Destructor. 2 of them gave us some Plague Marines. It's definitely harder to try and find like exactly what you need for a competitive list, but we're definitely aiming there. So we never had a position where we had to change our list because we didn't have enough models. We got there last year as well, but it just requires a bit extra work than probably in countries with bigger communities.
Overnight painting a second from
Yeah.
flight. Yeah.
I translated shortly. Also in Israel ist die Community nicht so groß, wie das in Deutschland ist.
Ja.
Wenn man sich das mal so
Sie haben einen Club,
vorstellt, einen Club, einen Store.
Der Store hat 2 Standorte, einen in Tel Aviv, einen in Haviv. Ich hoffe, ihr habt das richtig ausgesprochen. Und du kannst gerne weiter.
Genau, und da muss man halt gucken, dass man immer auch Pairings findet und Matchups findet und die entsprechenden Modelle und the meta changes quickly. Genau, man muss immer gucken, dass man für die aktuellen Meta-Matchups die Modelle hat und auch die Gegner, die das mal können, die auch mal gegen einen spielen können und das gar nicht so einfach, muss man halt auch mal ab und zu auf den Tabletop-Simulator ausweichen, um einfach mal zu gucken, dass man überhaupt mal eine Liste trainiert bekommt oder auch mal gegen eine Liste spielen kann, um zu gucken, wie funktioniert was. Also es ist gar nicht so einfach, da was zu finden. Ja.
Ich glaube, was es bei uns auch ein bisschen einfacher macht, ist, dass bei uns gerade hier bei uns in der Umgebung, wir können jedes Wochenende ein Turnier spielen. Wir könnten auch jedes Wochenende mittlerweile auf ein großes Turnier fahren oder auf einen Zweitäger. Und ja, da sind die Möglichkeiten gar nicht so gegeben, wie die hier sind. Und deswegen ist, glaube ich, auch unser Team ein bisschen stärker.
Ja. So we talked about the situation in Germany for the end. Here near to us there are about in a radius of 50 kilometers there are 5 or 6 games workshop stores, 20 clubs, and when we have time we can go to a tournament every weekend and to a major every second weekend if we go in the train and get around through Germany a few 100 kilometers. You can play 2 majors per month. So there's a lot more training in the community, and that will naturally force much better players.
Israel, you drive more than 100 kilometers. You're outside of Israel.
Yes.
So yeah, we are a small country, but we are very ambitious, and obviously, one of the reasons we come, as you said, like you have the top teams, like Germany, like the US, UK. That we have a lot to learn from.
I think.
What?
Poland is also strong.
Yeah, Poland, France, obviously a lot of Belgium got really high last year. So it's definitely a lot of different teams to learn from. And many teams have been coming to the WTC or ETC beforehand for many, many years, and this would be our 2nd year. And let's say that I count it as our kind of first year, really, because last year, it was our first time trying to learn things, trying to find things. So I feel like this time we know what to come and expect, and we can everyone in our team is really looking forward to experience this. Some of us again. Most of the team have been there last year, and we are really working hard on ensuring that we are ready. Doesn't help that the Games Workshop released new rules 2 months before, but we're definitely doing our best to stay on top and come as ready as possible, and make sure that we are better than last year and that we are aiming for higher than last year for sure.
Okay, ja. Er hat nochmal erklärt, ne, die sind jetzt das 2. Mal dabei.
Genau, sie haben wirklich
nahezu,
sehr, sehr hart trainiert, um dieses Jahr besser zu spielen
Ja.
als letztes Jahr. Auch auch eine bessere Platzierung zu machen. Wir wünschen natürlich alles Gute. Wir hoffen, dass sie natürlich den Titel
Ja.
gewinnen. Ich bin immer für die Underdogs.
genau. So we wish you all the best. Our thumbs are pressed and
And we will see you win the WTC 2024. So,
we wish you all the best.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
and thank you so much for this interview. I hope we can Teil 2 for this interview when it's okay for you. But I have a lot of questions, so but the time are running.
So yes,